You mentioned you got into CRO early and kind of dominated that
Hmm.
kind of that space. We talked a little bit about if you were starting over today,
Hmm.
how would you think about content strategy and start
Totally.
again?
I mean, first of all, when you look around in the blogosphere, what's happening is the sea of sameness. Everybody's doing the same shit, and they think by writing more words, I wrote this new piece, 7,500 words. Who gives a shit, really? If you think you're competing with the number of words, I mean, it's very easy to compete the number of words. It's just, a couple more hours, right? Because like the research bit is in my experience, the what's hard. So if you're starting now and you want to write up, oh, let's do an article on A/B testing and conversion optimization and blah 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 blah. All these blogs that have been around for 10 years, they have huge moats, and the moats being a gazillion backlinks, domain authority, brand. You will never outrank those guys, and your SEO strategy, your content strategy is dead on arrival. So what you need to do instead is do something that nobody else is doing or is doing really badly. So think about blogs that have come out of nowhere in the recent years. What have they been doing? So think about, do you know this site, User Onboard? Sam Hewlett.
Rings a bell. Okay.
So basically, he does onboarding teardowns of popular SaaS apps. Everything he writes, or used to at least, went viral, insta viral. I mean, a bunch of people had done like website critiques and stuff like that, but like super detailed onboarding teardowns. And his niche that he's owning, like, came out of nothing, conquered. Or what's Price Intelligently? It's like pricing consulting for SaaS. They do pricing teardowns for SaaS companies, and not just silly stuff where, hey, like this price is confusing and I don't get what this is. Like very intelligent. They have like prepared all the notes and they have charts and diagrams and they speak about pricing very intelligently. Price intelligently.
Good branding, positioning.
Yeah. So like, and again, it's and through hearsay, I hear it's working out really nice for them. Something we started to do at CXL Institute on the blog, we've been conducting original UX research studies. And why this? A, nobody's doing it, and why aren't they doing it? A, because it requires you need to be good at statistics, actually conducting scientific studies. You need to be savvy about UX and research methodologies, all that stuff, and it costs money. On average, study that we put out cost $2,000 to $5,000 on top of salaries. And the hypothesis was that, oh, hey, maybe these studies will go viral because they answered really useful questions. For instance, if you have forms on the website, should you think about the checkout page, single column or multiple columns? Which way to go? Oh, well, then we do a study and we measure and we have like science about this stuff. Or if you use a voiceover narrator on your video, a female voice versus a male voice. What are the differences, implications? Again, we have a study. We have a bunch of studies. And so one hypothesis that didn't pan out was none of these studies went viral. We thought they might, they didn't. But one thing did eventually become true was like a hypothesis was that over a long run, these articles, these original research studies will get more backlinks than your average blog posts. Because think about what is a content marketer, a blogger doing? They always want credible sources to case studies, research studies, stuff to link to. Because when you make a claim about something, oh, this is better, you want to back up your claim. And so that worked out real nice for us. And now, maybe even 2 years later, our old stuff is starting to rank very high for certain keywords, like kind of like trust seals, like which trust seal to use. Should I use PayPal verified or one of those other trustee or 30 other trust seals?
Yeah, I mean that's a very common thing, and it's a big piece of our strategy. Actually, is a lot of ranking for statistics keywords.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's the exact same thing. It's like reporters are trying to find a statistic or two to cite. So that's one angle, is just to curate CRO statistics, link to
Oh
it,
my God. Yeah.
and
People
that's a good
love
leverage point.
benchmarks, which is the most useless thing ever, practically speaking. They always ask, what's the average conversion rate for B2B e-commerce? I mean, the correct answer is like, it doesn't matter. It depends. It's so contextual. You can't measure that properly. It's bullshit. But they still want to know. They want to report to somebody.
Yeah, for our audience, I do think Brian Dean, who I'm sure of
Yeah, I know him
Backlinko, I
well.
think he's a good example because SEO world was so saturated, and he came out like a rocket ship because he differentiated on UX. A lot of SEO people just don't get readability or content formats in general. He also did stuff really
Also,
visual,
original
digestible.
studies that he's
Yeah,
now
he did
putting
original
out.
studies.
So basically, if you start now, you want to think about what can I do that has a high barrier of entry, so it's not easy to replicate. $5,000 to put together a post. A lot of the studies that
Brian Dean.
Backlinko is doing, he's subcontracting a research agency in the background, like BuzzSumo has forget the name, but basically all those, like, oh, we analyzed 7 million headlines and found these things. Like, nobody does this manually. They all outsource this stuff. So it costs money. So if you do that, immediately all these stay-at-home freelance bloggers will never be able to compete with you because you're doing something that they will never be able to do. So if you have deeper pockets, building this kind of moats is very easy. Or have a unique format for something, or have a great
Yeah, I mean, I think
personality.
going different is a good starting point
For
because
sure.
if you imagine the people that are like would go up against you who
Hmm.
now has this moat, they can't compete on domain authority,
Never.
and I imagine have more money than they do to start, so they could do
Lots more
something
money.
different. So they could do something different, which a few examples you had, and I think that's a good place to differentiate for sure.
Yep.
Start, and there's a lot of I mean,
Yeah, it's a classic zigzag. When they zig, you zag.